We're back with another bow tier list. You know, I already had to update this list once for the stink bow when that came out. Happy to do it. Again, when the flame bow came out a couple months later, thank you, Epic, and I thought, surely I won't have to make this video for a third time this year. But we're here. We're here. The Xenon bow got a massive change. We'll get to it, don't worry. But I'm going to be coming at this with two lists once again because, as we all know, loadouts make a massive difference. I'll be showing gameplay later in this video. I got a few tabs open for later on, but I want to skip ahead just to this one point where the flame bow, I feel like it's a low A tier weapon. Its damage is okay, and then it branches out to supposedly 6 targets, though that's pretty inconsistent, and it's not that great. I wasn't wildly impressed, a little disappointed, maybe B tier. But with Zenith, oh my goodness, easy S tier. This thing is a monster. It's freezing everything in front of you. So I don't want to make an entire list based on specific loadouts and whether or not you have them, but if you guys would like to build your bow loadouts to be ideal, I do have a very, very thorough video on that subject. It's a couple years old, but it's totally up to date. Nothing's changed. Link to that down below if you guys want to build it out. It talks a lot about support perks and recommendations for stuff that you should use and what you should use if you don't have those heroes yet. Yada, yada, yada. It's a pretty thorough video. So we're going to start right away by simplifying this list. I was just in game messing around, comparing the stats of bows, and I confirmed this because I haven't double checked that in a few years, but the Instigator, let me find them, the Scrap Shot, and the Nightfire are all identical stats. For whatever reason, at the base level, they're all the same, but the Nightfire, when leveled up all the way, is like 0.3% better than the other. I don't know what that is, but let's talk about this. So they are perfectly fine bows. If you're using them just on their own, maybe D tier, because just on their own means no Stoneheart Farah. They're just kind of whatever. The Instigator does have one special bonus that when you hit a target, it'll take, I believe, 20% extra damage from all targets, from all sources for a few seconds. I don't know what the fine print is there, so let's go check. Here it is, 20% for 10 seconds, and it doesn't affect bosses. I am still fuzzy on whether or not that actually affects mini bosses or not, but regardless, that makes it kind of B tier. It's a utility weapon. It can make all your teammates do a lot more damage, but without Stoneheart Farah, it's like, you know, C. I'll give it B tier just because your teammates can help. However, if you have Stoneheart Farah and it's branching out the damage, or you're popping Toy rocking out, you got Rabbit Raider Jonesy, it's an A tier weapon. It's still shooting one target, and all of its crowd clearing is 100% Stoneheart Farah, whether she's in support or the lead. That is all you're getting. And I think in previous tier lists, I've put these in B tier because with Stoneheart Farah in the game, you're still getting just a little bit of crowd clearing with every bow, but these are about as basic as they get, so I'm just going to go through these quickly. And Nightfire is, in my opinion, lower than the Scrap Shot because it's, you know, 0.3% more damage, which is irrelevant. That's nothing, and it's just more expensive to make. So in my opinion, the Scrap Shot is a direct upgrade. We're going to do all the other single projectile weapons as well. Love Song, I don't know what to do with this. By my own ratings, it should be C tier. Its whole gimmick is that when you charge it up, it will freeze an enemy for 10 seconds, but if you shoot them, they're not frozen anymore. So like, what is that? I'm charging it up, which takes like a couple seconds. That's a lot of time in the middle of combat. And then I'm shooting it. And then as soon as we start taking advantage of that frozen enemy, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. So it's like maybe C tier for the utility. I still think it's C tier even if you've got a great loadout. I don't really know what to do with the Love Song. So moving on. The Night Owl. We used to put this in F tier jokingly, but it's kind of the same as these other two. You shoot it, it hits a single target, and it can do a lot of damage with the special 6 perks that it has. And black metal weapons are a little gnarly, but you know, you got 44% extra damage to fire. That's whatever. Or is that nature, I mean? And then if you eliminate 2 enemies with this weapon, that's hard to do, then it explodes for a bunch of extra damage. That's a significant amount. The black metal boom builds I've been making tons of videos on is based around that kind of mechanic. It's not easy to abuse with the bow, which is why you've never seen one from me. I have tried. So like, I'll give it high C tier. It's not the garbage weapon I used to joke that it was, but I'm still not very impressed by its performance. Even with a loadout, I still think it should be above these weapons. I should follow my own trend here. I put these in B tier with a loadout. Yeah, so the Love Song would just be better than the other guys just because it can freeze them. That's better than nothing. And the Night Owl can at least do some good damage. Without a loadout, it's pretty mediocre. So we have gotten through all of that stuff. Let's get to the more fun stuff. The boom bow. The boom bow is, I believe, the first one that I actually have gameplay on. This is where I said I was wrong about it, because I was. I used to think it was pretty bad, but even with a slow fire rate, if you've got Toy Rocket out, I mean, just look at it. These are 250 power level enemies exploding in mass. I'm running out of groups of enemies to shoot at, because if there's a group of enemies in front of the boom bow, usually they don't last very long. So with no loadout is basically what you're seeing here. Without Toy Rocket out active, it's fine. In fact, I'll actually rate it right now. The boom bow is basically like an A tier weapon. I mean, it's got enough crowd clearing, it's got enough single target. I think it's got a lot going on. But as you guys probably, this is the third time I've made this tier list this year. You know what I'm going to say. It's an S tier weapon. I mean, with all the juice flowing, with all the wafers and everything going, Toy Rocket out active, it is a very, very fun weapon. I was so wrong about it. It's quite strong. So that's the boom bow. Next is Cloudburst. You know what I'm going to say about this one as well. I think this might be our first S tier weapon without a loadout, because when you shoot an enemy with the Cloudburst and you eliminate them, it leaves behind a cloud of steam that does pretty significant amount of damage. And as you can see in this intro clip from my video, all of these will be linked down below, by the way. It is really, really good because it chains Farah. So you've got Toy Rocket out boosting the damage. You've got the Cloudburst itself activating Toy Rocket out. Then you've got Farah going off of that. It's amazing. So it's actually a really, really good weapon. As you can see, it's got enough brute force just to take out a Mist monster chilling. That's power level 160. And then this video has lots and lots of extra footage. If you guys want to watch these, there's tons more to explore. But yeah, it's an S tier with and without a loadout. And I do believe it's better than the boom bow. Of course, you've got elemental coverage for both of these, but I think the Cloudburst is just stronger. I might be wrong about that, but at least a faster fire rate with the reload speed being a perk that's an actual option. Fun fact, boom bow is the only one without a reload perk. I don't know why. It doesn't really need to be nerfed like that, but it is. The compression burster is basically what you get when you take all of the boom bow's explosive damage and put it into impact. I don't know what we were supposed to do with this. I guess it's C tier. It technically has group damage. I'll put it in between these two because I don't know what to do with it. If you juice up any bow with the right loadout, they're pretty much all B tier. I think I'm a little nicer this time around because I think my previous tier list, I'm going to click ahead on my own video and see the spoiler. Yeah, I put the love song in D tier last time. I'm a little nicer now because I think with any build, any bow can be viable, but like, it's not that great. It's not the first thing you should use. There are tons of other options. Powder keg is another one that I was kind of wrong about. I thought it was kind of weak, but honestly, it's really good. I mean, the explosion is something that can kind of struggle single target, but the crowd clearing capabilities are really, really good. And you can see if you shoot the arrow, it'll go down to fuse and then explode. But if you shoot a target directly and eliminate them, it'll explode as soon as that enemy is dead. It's actually really, really nice to work with. And what you're seeing right now is double crit damage footage. So it's very slow fire rate, very, very hard to, be impressed by this footage. But when you've got the reload and crit damage perk, it's a really good combo. And I don't have the best source footage up here because I just scrubbed through the whole video, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think without any loadout whatsoever, it's like a low S tier. It does need quite a bit of help to really get some breakpoints, because when it explodes, if it doesn't kill the target versus when it does kill the target, it's a big deal. So it's like low S tier on its own, and then high S tier if it is with a loadout. I don't know if it's better than the Cloudburst. That's kind of high praise. I'm gonna put it above the boom bow because it feels like it's what I always wanted from the boom bow with that reload perk, but the boom bow kind of has more oomph with the straight up damage. It's tricky. Vacuum tube bow, easy F tier. It's kind of just a garbage weapon that I never recommend using. Vintertech Seek, I'm just kidding. It's one of the best weapons in the entire game. When I was prepping this tier list, my audience was telling me that I should make it its own tier. I don't love that. It's locked to nature, okay? It's surprisingly viable in fire zones. Here's an upcoming video that has not been... Shut up, Beast. Here's an upcoming video that has not been released on the channel yet, but this weapon is actually viable in a fire zone, but you can see how insane it is. This thing chains up to 6 enemies. So on its own, that is an S tier weapon. If you find this alone in Ventures, it is awesome. But as you can see, that chain lightning can trigger Stoneheart Farah's ability, and each time it does so, it can hit 5 extra enemies around it. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. This weapon is a monster. And as I'm recording this, we have the Frozen Fjord season coming up, which is water only. So this nature weapon is going to be unrestrained. Throughout the normal season, if you're in a nature zone, it'll do 67% of its damage, and in a fire zone, it'll be doing 25% of its damage. And you can see the vacuum tube boat still struggles with a smasher. If I'm being lazy and I'm not eating wafers, it's not always an instant win, but this thing is incredible. It is really, really, really good. So vacuum tube bow is, in my opinion, the current best bow in the game. That might be controversial because it doesn't have elemental coverage, but I believe I explained myself thoroughly. It is wildly strong, and there's nothing new about any of these statements. Now, the Vinterdeck Seeker, kind of tricky. It's been bugged for a lot of years, and I think it's working properly now. I don't have footage prepared for it, but it basically shoots one projectile, but if you charge it, you get like 3 more projectiles, I think, or is it 2 more? Something like that. It is technically the hardest hitting single target bow in the game, but that doesn't mean much. You can't control where those side targets go. So it might all go to one target. It might get distracted by the little babies. Chat's telling me it's 2 extra, sorry, but it's hard to take advantage of, and it's very slow firing. So for the weapons that just explode and chain lightning easily, I know that the vacuum tube bow does need to be charged halfway, but it's only halfway. You don't even need to go to full. So it's just hard to take advantage of it. I put it low A tier without any loadout whatsoever. If you're juicing it, I did put it in my top 5 bows video. So how I feel about it nowadays, maybe low S tier. Once you're running, Rabbit Raider Jonesy, totally rocking out. It's kind of insane. And I didn't mention Zenith, by the way, with the vacuum tube bow, but like, thumbs up on that. Same with Cloudburst. Anything with crowd clearing, Zenith is a fantastic choice. Whew. All right, star of the show. Let's talk about it. The Xenon bow got nerfed. This image by Tomatech is basically the entire nerf. The red circle is how large the projectile used to be. Yeah, take that in for a second. Penny, for scale, means that when you were shooting the Xenon bow, this is a sphere, by the way, it could, if they were close enough, hit enemies that were behind you. That's crazy. That is crazy. So the green projectile is now the current size of it, which is really tough. Same with the vacuum tube bow. I have an upcoming video on the Xenon bow. I tried it out in game. It's tricky. You could see you can go right through a crowd of enemies and miss enemies that would have been hit. These guys would have all been hit before, but now it's just him and her. So it still has the damage that it had before, which is quite low. The Xenon bow is one of the weakest bows in the entire game. However, it still has the pierce, and you can see if you line up a bunch of enemies like I am here on screen, it can still happen. Wolves do still do damage no matter what, but I think this encampment had some good footage on it, so we can back it up here. It is a good way to show that this weapon is still pretty good. It is one of the weaker bows, but with Toy Rockin' Out active, crit perks, I mean, look at this. It's really hard to use. It is nowhere near as good as it used to be, but it still works. So controversially, with a loadout, I still want to put it in S tier. I still think that tiny projectile that can pierce infinitely is better than the Seeker. I don't know if it's directly better than the Boom Bow, though. With no loadout, S tier is hard to recommend, and this is where there's kind of like a third tier list just for the Xenon bow, and that's for utility. If you're shooting across the map, through houses, through buildings, and you're breaking gnomes, arcade machines, server racks, teddy bears, the daily stuff, it's still actually pretty good for that. For utility, same S tier that it always was, while being a little bit weaker at that task. It needs a lot of help, though. I mean, I'll put it high A tier, with no loadout whatsoever, maybe S tier. I mean, we're still going to be looking for it in Ventures just because it's consistently good regardless of perks. It's locked to energy, so even the vacuum tube bow being as good as it is, you still kind of hope for a crit perk. You would like that. It's pretty depending on that. It's hard to say because emotionally I want to put it in F tier. We're all upset, but I used it in that video and I only showed you guys a little snippet. It was okay. It was okay. It's low S tier still, in my opinion. I mean, is the powder keg better than the Xenon bow? For damage, yes, but I don't know. It's just I'm gonna need to experience this weapon a lot more. I might be recording this tier list too early, but we've all seen that projectile nerf, and I have used it a bit. It's hard to say. It's hard to say exactly. Maybe we can see in a year when I update all these tier lists. So, or I'm sorry, in 2 months when they do another bow. Stink bow is really hard hitting single target. It is, in fact, quite hard hitting. I popped a wafer in this and then sat down a 160 smasher in like 2 shots. But you can see that residual stink damage is really, really low. It struggles to kill 160 enemies, and that does not scale to the end game and does not pair with Stoneheart Farah. So you have a very hard-hitting bow that can just... Okay, I'm sorry. Was that 3 million damage? Let me freeze frame on that real quick. Yeah, 3.147 million damage. So it can just do that. I mean, it hits really, really hard sometimes. I believe that's due to a bug, but its crowd clearing is terrible. So I haven't really said what I believe S tier is in this video yet, but generally, in my opinion, an S tier weapon can do it all. S tier is really good single target, really good crowd clearing. It's going to be great all the time. That's why the Xenon bow is still up there. It will work. You pop a wafer, it'll still kill the things. Vintertech Seeker struggles, maybe should be A tier. I'm 50-50 on this one. I still don't know yet. But Stink Bow has really high single target damage and no crowd clearing. Without a loadout, I mean, it's still doing a lot. So maybe low A tier. Maybe underneath the Seeker, in my opinion, because the Seeker does more single target, I believe. And then, you know, with a loadout, high A tier. That Stink Cloud just needs to do more damage, and it needs to pair with Farah. That's as a bug. That's logged as a bug right now. So it should be able to chain her hit, but... yeah, the Flame Bow. So that was my original example early on. The Flame Bow is a weapon that does not jump to as many enemies as often as I feel like it should. But Zenith is almost like a cheat code for this weapon because this video showed it really well. Like every single enemy that fire jumps to, if it crits, freezes them. That is nuts. It's not perma-locking all 3 smashers, but it's chipping away at them really consistently, and especially with a wafer in play. This was a fun weapon to record. That loadout was a great combo. So on its own, in spirit, it's S tier. In practice, it's like low A tier. It's like a boom bow that doesn't explode every time. You know what I mean? With the correct loadout, definitely S tier. I still think it's low S tier. I feel like the Xenon bow performed a little bit better, but if they're frozen in place, it's hard. But the Xenon bow can be paired with Zenith anyway, you know what I mean? So with loadouts considered, it's mid S tier, and I still think it's better than the boom bow. I mean, you give me 10 tier lists, I'm gonna give you 10 different lists. We've all known this, but yeah. All right. I'm sticking to this. This is my current bow tier list. I was gonna say 2025. It's the 3rd time, so who knows? This is my updated tier list for the Xenon bow nerf. Hopefully you guys can understand my picks. Comment down below if you disagree, and I already know you did. Don't worry about it. And be nice in the comments. This is just a cursory look. All right, this is not a guide. This is not the Bible of bows. This is just how I'm feeling about the current state of the game. So don't take this too heavily to heart. But if you're a new player, hopefully this is some good insight. A lot of people have wanted, oh, I wish I would have done this earlier in the video. A lot of people have wanted alternative to Xenon bow picks, and there really aren't any. The Neon Sniper is a thing. The Ghost Pistol exists. And that's kind of it. Nothing pierces stuff that quickly, that easily, and that effectively. It still is the only thing it does. That's why it stays in S tier in my brain. It's a very unique weapon, no matter how tiny that projectile is. So it's really hard to replace, and I feel like it's still viable. It's just that the community is going to need to get a little bit better at aiming, and I can't do anything about that. So that's it. I'm out of here. Subscribe, like the video. See you guys in the next one. If you guys want to support me, for use code Mista at your checkout, and I'll see you guys in the next bow tier list tomorrow.